Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is G. Cole, and welcome to Homegrown, where I get to share with you some good music while talking to some great people. Hello world, hope you're feeling as good as I am. I want to big up all my homegrown listeners out there and welcome all the new listeners. If you haven't yet subscribed, please do so we can keep you updated when new material is available. We will be posting new episodes bi-weekly. Want to thank everyone who has been listening and sharing. Please leave us a comment. We'd love to hear from you. Please check out the website homegrownwithgcole.com to listen and for all things homegrown. The podcast is available on iTunes, Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Radio.com, YouTube, wherever you listen to your podcast. We are there. We're also very interactive. Please follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at MyGCole. The video of this interview is also available on YouTube. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. This is episode 122, and today's guest is producer, musician, piano extraordinaire, Mr. Jaime Hinckson. He brings us his brand spanking new album, Fresh Produce, as well as a nice convo and a dope in-studio performance. Today's episode is sponsored by Scented Delight Candles. Dope. Did I say dope? Dope. Scented Delight was created in 2021 from owner-CEO Natasha's passion for finding long-lasting candles that smell delightful and are soot-free. Only the finest products, high-grade fragrances, and 100% natural wicks are poured into these soy blend luxury candles. Scented Delight candles last 70 hours and will saturate a room in minutes. They also arrive in a decorative, reusable box. What it doesn't say here is that the thing come with a lighter in the box too. I love it. I ain't gonna front. The lighter is beautiful. And you hear me speaking with all kind of excitement right now. I'm a candle guy now. If you had asked me a year ago, a couple of months ago, if I would be a candle guy, I'd tell you no. But I'm a candle guy right about now. I'm loving these candles. It's dope. It's dope. It's dope. And also they come in 6 different fragrances. Serenity, which is lavender and bergamot. Lust, which is vanilla, coconut, and mango. Indulge, white amber and lily. Crave, sweet pea, apples, and jasmine. And Sweetheart, vanilla crumb cake. And also love, mango and peaches. You hear how I'm sounding? Peaches. I'm telling you, I'm loving these candles. I cannot front. I'm loving these candles. And guess what? They come with a lighter in the box. I love it, man. I dig it. A nice, beautiful, branded lighter in the box. All right? Dope. Hit them up at ScentedDelights.com. 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 Also hit them up on Instagram and Facebook at Scented Delights, okay? Get them for the home, get them for the office, get them for the business, get them for whomever, whatever. They make great gifts. I got some at the house right about now. Crazy brownie points. You know what I mean? I'm doing my thing. Walk on, bro.
Bless. Thank you for having me, Mr. Cole.
It's a pleasure, man. It's a pleasure. Always a pleasure to have conversation and reason with those people who I feel like have an impact, a dope impact on the culture. Sometimes your impact is so much you don't even realize because it's a day in the office for you. You know what I'm saying?
Very true.
But trust me, I've been hearing your name and your work precedes you. Before you walk through the building, I've had numerous people talking for years. You're a young man, but I swear said you're 50. You know what I mean? But I've been hearing your name and stuff for years. My first actual experience, I was told to go check out when you were playing with Holly Cook.
Whoa.
You know what I mean? Some years ago.
Yeah.
Right? What was that? It was a US tour?
That was 2014.
Wow. Dope. UK Songstress, right?
Yo, amazing. One of my favorite artists that I ever worked with. That was actually my first introduction into the reggae world. That's when I started that was my first reggae tour.
Wow. So it's amazing. We're talking to a Jamaican, right? About Jamaican artist. Of course, you know what I mean? Nobody go check up the louder man. All right? Jamaican. Me give him that. It is what it is. So, because you know how we stay all going and Google the thing, man, the band, yeah. But that difference something. When we talk about music and we say, okay, you're on the road and so forth. It's amazing when you just say a while ago, right? That was your first reggae tour.
Yeah.
So let's jump in the rearview mirror for a minute, right? What was popping off prior to that?
So prior to 2014, nothing was popping until before 2006.
Right.
So basically, I grew up playing classical piano, broke off into jazz piano. I was doing my thing all through middle school, high school, doing all these competitions with NAACP, AXO, all these little local competitions and stuff. You know, busting up these Asian and Indian kids at these classical competitions and stuff. Like, it was fun. But, you know, I felt like I was at the top of my game because I won everything I was a part of. And, you know, I seemed to be the sharpest knife in the drawer in most of the situations I was in up until high school. So I ended up playing at the Air Jamaica Jazz and Blues Festival.
Wow.
On the main stage. Patti LaBelle even called me back up to the stage, and I always talk about, oh, I didn't hear her because I was in the back of the stage messing around, and, you know, my parents were upset. But anyways, the last big thing.
How old were you?
I was 17.
Wow.
So they even made an announcement at my high school, like, oh, big ups to Jaime. He's not going to be in school this weekend because he's going to Jamaica to, like, it was,
wow.
It was awesome. Like, they really blew up my head, and, you know, that's what it was at my peak when I graduated high school. When I went to college now, I was advised by my piano teachers, don't go to school for music. You know, it hasn't been a great experience going to school for music. They don't teach you anything new. You learn everything you learn with your private teacher. They just test you based on what you already know in school. So why are you going to school for music? You should be a doctor, be a lawyer. You don't want to be a struggling musician. Go do something else.
Yeah.
And I was book smart. I got a full ride to any Florida school I wanted to go to, full scholarship. And I went to University of Florida on my full ride and decided to study industrial and systems engineering.
Right.
So, you know, I chugged through, but most of college was the social aspect and, you know, enjoying myself. And I put down music for 8 years.
Wow.
And it was only until my last semester, I had 4 classes left to graduate. I had just done 2 back-to-back internships with Ford Motor Company, and they want me to come work for their company. Job lined up, job security, all these things, but I would end up in this little boring place in Detroit, Dearborn, Michigan. So, long story short, I wasn't able to register for my classes. There was a switch of deans, and all this stuff was happening. They were looking at my previous record, all these things, and I could not register for my classes. So I had to take the semester off, and I was in Gainesville trying to figure out, what am I going to do with my time? And that's when I decided to record my first album, Take Flight.
Wow.
And I fell back in love with music. And what ended up happening is, instead of finishing the 4 classes that are still sitting down, I booked a one-way ticket to California to restart my music career, which I thought would have been me picking up from Jazz and Blues Festival in 2006.
Right.
That was not
Wow.
the case.
Wow.
I got a taste of some humble pie.
Yeah.
And had to start from scratch. Still building right now on my journey, and there's all the, oh, what if you did this? What if you went to Berklee College of Music? What if you went to Juilliard? What if you did all... Everything that happened for a reason, and the reason why I have the appreciation for the music I'm doing today is because of that long break that I took away from it in college.
Wow.
I needed that kick in the ass to be like, hey, you know, how bad do you want it?
Right,
you had a chance to be away from it for a while. You realize it's not an easy thing. And now everybody seems to be doing what I do now. It's not something special. And now it's more of a learning experience and me appreciating all the musicians around me, which is fantastic.
Wow. It's funny, you mentioned college, right? Four credits from wrapping up, right? Jamaican parents, right? So here's my question to you now, right? What your parents said when you were like, nah, 4 credits, nah, I'm going to Cali, baby.
So there was no support there. Family and even friends, even close friends, is just like, what are you doing?
Right.
Even the kids at my school are just like, what are you doing? Because you have to understand, me getting a job, the job I got was with Ford Motor Company. Ford Motor Company is all the way up in Detroit, so every time they do their internship, they usually take some local people, but, you know, to make it seem diverse, they'll come all the way down to Florida that happen to have the biggest career fair, and we're gonna pick just 2 kids from all of University of Florida engineers to come to our program. So of course everybody drops their resume at the table, and the way Ford goes through the resumes so that they don't have to go through too many applicants, they just throw out everything that's below a 3.3 GPA. If you have less than a 3.3, we're not even looking at your resume.
Right.
So by that time, I was president of Caribbean Student Association. All it was partying and social life. Like, I love college. Like, that experience I would never take away. And I was on probation. I had a 2.5 GPA. Like, these people would not look at my application. So what did I do? I lied on my resume.
Right.
I said I have a 3.5 GPA and everything else was true.
Right.
Just so they would look at my application. Sure enough, I do my little one interview, and this is after 100 of kids have come to there, 2 days, 3 days, saying blah, 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 and they call me back and they say, Jaime, I want you to come back for a follow-up interview. I was like, all right, great. Bam, I do the follow-up interview, they laugh, they think I'm charismatic. Jaime, why don't you come back for a second interview? All right, cool, bam, bam, bam. Everything was nice. Jaime, why don't you come back for the final interview?
Right.
And at the final interview now, they're like, Jaime, we only accepting 2 kids from the University of Florida, and we want you to be one of them. Would you like to accept this internship?
Wow.
I was like, yeah, of course. They're going to pay me and everything. They're paying me to come up there. Like, of course I would take this. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm supposed to get a job after I finish school, and this is the thing that you're supposed to be doing. So they're like, yo, is there anything that you want to tell us before you take on the opportunity? I was like, well, I want to come up front and tell you guys I lied about my GPA. I really have and the man cut me off and said, do you want the internship?
Wow.
And I said, yeah. He said, good, it's yours, done.
Wow.
I went and I did the internship. The first year, they loved it. They called me back a second year. When you get called back a second year, that's basically like, you're in the system, we like you, you're probably going to get this job. I do the second one in a different department, running the F-150 plant, and they loved it. And sure enough, they're just like, look, the job is here, the job is yours, just hurry up and finish school.
Right.
So when I called them after I decided to move to California and said, look, I didn't finish my degree, I'm doing this other thing, they're like, look, we don't care about this music thing that you're doing. We don't even care that you graduate. You're in the system.
Right.
We want you to come do this job. I need you to manage this place in Dearborn, Michigan. They didn't care about the degree. They didn't care about my GPA. They didn't care about anything.
Right.
And when I was on the internship, I was having a ball.
Right.
I was at Benihana. I was coming into work late, and they're paying me to do it. I'm flying back home to Miami or Gainesville every weekend. Like, I was enjoying myself, and it was just too easy. And in a place that was so depressing after the recession, I was like, I can't do this.
Right.
But my whole thing that really messed with my mind is, here I am chugging through school. Here's all these other kids getting all the A's on their test that I'm getting C's on. Mm-hmm. They're becks that I have this opportunity and they didn't get it because their name was in that pile. And these people don't even need me to have a degree.
Right.
They just want me to be charming and charismatic in the interview process.
Right.
But anyways, I end up deciding I don't want the job, even though I don't need a degree. I don't need anything. It's there lined up. Music is what makes me happy. My parents, my friends, my colleagues, my classmates, everybody was just like, you are crazy. If it was me, you have this opportunity and throwing it out the window. If it was me, fast forward 5, 6, 7 years down the road, boy, Jaime, we're so proud of you and so glad you had the courage to do the music thing, and you're out here touring the world, and oh my gosh, how great it is. And you know what, I'm gonna tune into your interview with G. Cole today. That's what it is now. The problem is, when you decide to pursue something that you want to pursue, you just have to know that it's a lonely road. You have to actually prove to people how bad you want it. And you have to show them that you can be successful doing it, knowing that they won't know about the behind the scenes and the struggle that you're going through during that process. So,
Jono.
Yeah.
And you can't even be mad at them either, because a lot of times they're looking out for you. They mean well.
They put me in piano lessons, Gregory. That's what I throw back at them. I said, who put me in piano lessons? I told you I wanted to quit. I wanted to get out of piano lessons. I wanted to be outside playing football, doing something outside. So
technically it's your fault, is what you're saying.
That's right.
It's your fault.
You put me in music, and then when I get good in it, you're just like, yeah, but you should go get a nice job.
You didn't expect that one to come back at you, right, Pop?
Yeah.
But it's one thing I always say is, when we talk about like the beginning stages, the lessons and all them things, right? It's fun till it becomes work. My daughter has a guitar, she has every instrument, right? Because at some point in time she was interested, till it became work. After the fun phase goes, at what point did you, and I mean even after or before making a decision that, you know what, I'm gonna go to Cali and all that, right? At what point, though you were studying somewhere, at what point did it register that not just about the love of music, but the professional part of it, making it a career or whatever the case may be? At what point did it start to gnaw into you that, you know what, this is how I'm gonna want to do?
After I recorded my first album, it was So the reason one of the reasons I recorded my album, I can't remember who it was, but somebody, like, you know, some girl or somebody, I must have said something that somebody passing, or somebody sees the keyboard in my room, and they say, "Oh, you play piano?" And my whole thing is like, duh, everybody knows I play piano.
Right.
How do you not know? The whole world knows I play piano. You don't know who Jaime Hinckson is?
Right.
And they're like, okay, well, do you have music out? And I was like, well, no.
Right.
But, you know, I do play music. Everybody knows this. It's like, oh, well, if you don't have music, like, you know, it was a thing. And it started eating at me where I was like, wow, I really don't have any recordings. I don't have an album, like.
Nothing to show.
Yeah. So when I got that motivation to get up and actually record the album, not knowing how to record the album, what I was going to do, the whole process, when I was done and I got to the finish line and I was able to listen to my product, I was like, yo, wow. This is what's been missing, because I was going through school just like, all right, I don't want to study, not into engineering, but, you know, I guess I'll go get this job that they gave me, and, you know, there was always something missing. When I got back into music, it was just like, you know, I'm happy being broke. Let's see how this music thing goes, but this thing is like a genuine form of expression for me. And that's when it was just like, okay, I can do this. But before I moved to California, that was me thinking of Jazz and Blues Festival, where I left off. When I got to California, it was the exact opposite, where there was many times where I was like, look, maybe you should just renege on this whole thing and, you know, call it quits. But then I have everybody with the I told you so's back in Miami, like, we told you should have done that. So instead, it was a motivation, and I just kept pushing. And every time you're on the verge of giving up or on the verge of doing some, you know, get rich quick scheme or something, that's when something drops out of the sky, out of nowhere. Or the thing that the seed that you planted 5 years ago is just coming to fruition now. I tell people all the time, Jojo Marley, who I play keyboard with now, I've been playing with for 4 or 5 years. I'm musical director for him now, great friends. He found me on Instagram from a video I had posted of a Bob Marley cover that I did years prior. And it was one of the things I was trying to get my name out in California. And eventually I said, man, nobody's listening to these videos. Nobody's on my YouTube channel. I don't have any subscribers. Like, you know, my look at 30 views isn't going to do anything. Nobody's seen it. All it takes is the one right person to see it. And he was one of those 30 people. And he hit me up on Instagram and was like, hey, would you like to audition for the band? The rest was history. So you just have to keep planting the seeds, keep putting out stuff, and you never know what's going to catch or when it's going to catch.
Wow. I dig that. And it's funny, as I think back on, you know, being introduced to your work and watching you do what you do, you know, the names, because everything we do right now, we get compared, right? You sing a song, a man say, you sound like Bob. You know what I mean? Julian was saying, yeah, you sound like Bob. You know what I mean? Everybody sound like somebody. But then it's who they compare you to, right? When I hear your name come up right now, you're a young guy, but it's in comparison to legendary people like Jackie Matu, you know what I'm saying? The Butler brothers, you know what I'm saying? Who I know one of them was a mentor of yours, right?
Yeah, my piano teacher, Leslie Butler.
Mad. So I'm talking about, it's like, I know musicians, I know a ton of keyboard players, but I tell people all the time, I think I know like 4 pianists, you know what I mean, real pianists, where they're playing the boards and the bang and bubble if necessary, right? But that's not the avenue of expertise right there. Get them the keys, the ivory, and then they come alive, and I feel like that's you.
Yeah, man. The piano is I have to have 88 keys with me all the time. 88 weighted. I have to have a piano.
Right.
When I'm looking for my best keyboard, I'm not looking at Hans, I'm not looking at anything. I'm looking for the best piano sound. Like, I love the piano, and like I said, I jumped into my first reggae tour in 2014.
Wow.
And that's when I had to learn this whole bang and bubble thing, where it's just like, oh, you did this? And you listen to a couple people and it's just like, oh, like that, and everybody's like, yeah. And I'm like, oh, okay, if this is what you want, cool. And eventually you develop, you hear more people, you hear Tyrone, you hear Waya, you hear all the new keyboardists of today, and you mix and match and you find your own, like, a unique style. But there's a lot of reggae keyboardists that can't solo, can't play a full piano. They can make use of this small amount of space on the keyboard that they're used to, and they sound wicked.
Right.
But ask them for stretch out and do something else with the piano.
Ain't happening.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, chopping up right now with Mr. Jaime Hinckson. And again, when I say one of the best, trust me. Let's talk music for a minute, right? I am one of those people who I this is my ranting platform sometimes. When we hear some stuff, I'm gonna want to rant. My comments are rant, right? And I always say, I feel like we get shortchanged in reggae music. Reggae music, we almost acclimated to 4 people: drum, bass, one keysy, one guitar, right? And then wonder why we can't compete in the international sphere where another genre, it's 10 pieces. I know the budget is a little bit different when it comes down to our thing, but even from a production standpoint, sax, strings, keys, real pianos, overlays, the whole nine, making sure the things sound proper. And that's what I hear and I see in like you, that's what you bring to the table. It's almost like, all right, I see y'all got the frame right here, like Ford, you know what I mean? I see y'all got the frame, but I got the chassis right here. This is without this we ain't moving, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So although Mr. Ford ban you right about now, you couldn't get the F-150 for buy if you tried. They're still mad.
That's true.
They're still mad. Ladies and gentlemen, again, Mr. Jaime Hinckson. When you listen, I always feel, I got friends of mine who are chefs, right? I don't like to go out to dinner with them people, man. Because no matter what comes to the table, they start looking at like, I could have done better. When you listen to music, especially on the radio, what are you feeling? What are you thinking?
To be honest, and I'm trying to get better at this, I don't have time to digest new music. And the new market is so oversaturated because it's so easy to release music now. You have people that are just releasing music that's unmixed, unmastered, you know, something that they did on their phone. And, you know, it's easy to release everything on iTunes and Spotify and stuff. So you have a lot of music out there. And sometimes the good stuff gets crowded by all the rest of the stuff.
Right.
So unless I get a recommendation from like a good brethren or somebody I trust their musical sense, then I'm not really listening to new artists. I'm still stuck to listening to old artists. I'm still listening to old Monty Alexander and Jackie Matu records and old stuff. All my sound comes from old soulful 70s music and all that stuff. That's like, I'm the same albums I play over and over again are my go-tos. I never know what new album to listen to or when I'm gonna have time to go digest this new album and this artist just dropped this. Meanwhile, the music that's out and the people that want certain productions now, they're looking for a certain type of sound, a certain type of tone where you have to kind of hear what's in the market nowadays. So if I'm listening to new music, it's more of like research to better my sound, but I don't want to lose the authenticity of the timeless sound. Right. The music that people can listen to forever and ever. The other day I was playing, I had reposted a Marvin Gaye What's Going On video that I'd posted, and I realized it was 50 years ago the man released the song. Wow. And you can play that for any generation nowadays, even the young generations, and they probably know that song. So my goal is to make timeless music like that stands the test of time. And I feel like most of the music coming out now is, you know, some drip thing that's going to be done in a year or 2 years. I'm still listening to this stuff from back in the day, and I want that quality of music, that stamp on my music.
You know, I feel like I always tell people, no matter how you slice and dice, there's a formula for things, you know. You can't beat the formula, right? When you talk to the people who've created the dope stuff, the great stuff, the formula don't change, right? And it's just like kids right now. You see kids running around acting a certain way, you can almost guarantee, say, okay, there ain't no parents at home, right? And you see some more structured, more disciplined kids and whatever, you'll be like, all right, well, mom and dad probably in the household, whatever. It's the same thing to me when I talk to musicians and artists, right, like yourself, where when I see what you put out and hear what you put out, I could tell that you're a student of the old school, right? A student of the real thing. And then when I hear other things, I could be like, all right, well, they weren't raised. You know what I'm saying? No disrespect. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But they weren't raised. It's just they coming up. They on this since last week. Yeah. And again, it's not how long you started doing what you're doing, but is what are your influences? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And that's one thing I gotta say with you. And like I said, most people when I think of you, as young as you are, I can put you in the categories of the Monty Alexanders and all of the great ones, Ernie Wranglers. I could put you up there with a bunch of 60, 70, 80-year-olds, you know what I'm saying? And sonically you fit in. Yeah, you're gonna be missing some gray hairs and some bald spots, yeah. But you're gonna fit in.
I got the bald spot.
But musically, you're up there with the thing. Jazz. You love jazz.
Love jazz. If it wasn't for jazz, I wouldn't be playing music.
How when I went into piano lessons, right? It didn't last too long, right? I was bored out of my mind, straight up. My piano teacher was a pastor. First wrong thing, right? Because only thing want to teach me some stuff from the hymns, right? And not even the cool ones. You know what I'm saying? So
There's a cool hymn.
there's some cool songs, not hymns. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No, but the bunny out. Pastor's here right now, be a fire. But I always feel like you gotta catch them somehow, right? And then you're gonna have the few ones. Just like every doctor I know, to me, was on the trajectory to be a doctor since I knew him as a kid, right? The other people, we just finding our way in the world, right? But when it comes to people starting out with stuff like jazz and the love of jazz, that's something special because no discredit on any other genre, but it's almost like it's real music, so to speak. How did you get into jazz? You're a young kid. It ain't exactly the cool, it ain't the bop. You know what I'm saying? How did you get into jazz?
When I was in my rebellious stages, and respectful rebellious, like I had a good upbringing, like I know how to act around older folks, but my piano teacher, Joan McMorris, Miss Mac, I would spend so much time with this lady. Summers, piano lessons, I was giving some of her students piano lessons, and I spent most of my time with her, but everything was classical music. We did all this London School of Music stuff and Beethoven and Chopin, and that's also what I was doing in all these competitions at school, so it just matched. But like I said, as a kid, when you're 12, 13, that's not what you want to be doing. When you're trying to pick up that girl, you don't want to be like, hey, I play piano, like
Right.
it's not the thing. Now I say it now, and older women are like, oh my gosh,
Right.
you're a musician.
Cool.
Back then it's just like, I want to be outside, I want to be running up and down, I want to be an athlete, even though I don't think I was going to be an athlete.
Right.
So one day my parents said, look, you're doing too much. You have to drop something in your schedule.
Right.
I was doing basketball. I was doing football, soccer. I was doing piano, and I was doing karate. And these are all things that I was doing, every year consistently. You have your different group of friends in each of them. And they say, which one do you want to stop? And I said, music, of course, done with that.
Yeah.
Them said, nah, man, you're doing good in the music thing. You can't stop music. We're going to pull you out of karate. And they pulled me out of karate right before I got my black belt.
Wow.
I was on the first degree brown belt before you get your black belt. And what they do to the kids to tease them and squeeze the money out of the parents, they hang the belt up in the dojo. And it has it's your black belt with your personal name engraved in red on the belt. So you're looking up at it like, yes, man, it's only a matter of time before I get my belt. My parents realized, so the karate people, I squeeze out money from them and decide to pull me out of karate before I get my black belt.
Yeah.
That was a place where I was fighting kids, and like that was fun. Like, it was anything that was physical.
Yeah.
That's what you want to be doing, and they want me to not quit piano. I went into my next piano lesson, Bex, and this is what I come back to, the disrespectful but respectful.
Right.
So I'm looking at this old school Jamaican lady. Sweetest lady, she never raises her voice. Sweetest lady ever. I could never do any wrong by her. And I sat down at her piano with my arms folded, and she said, warm tea today, man. And I was like, you know what? I'll tell you the truth. I don't want to do none of your boring classical piano thing no more. I can't stand this boring classical thing, and if you want to keep playing classical music, I don't want to do it anymore. This classical thing is for the birds. And when I said that, that was the most disrespectful thing I could have ever, like, in my mind, like, I stopped and I was like, wow, I can't believe I came out and said this. It doesn't sound too bad now, but at the time, at that age, it's just like, wow, this is Mageta slap or something.
Yeah, I'm violated.
This lady calmly said, oh, okay, you think you're bad. You think you're bad. And she calmly walks away from the piano and goes over to her record player, and she pops in a Monty Alexander CD called Echoes of Gillies.
Whoa.
And it's Monty Alexander playing over some Frank Sinatra songs in jazz. And she said, you can play this? And she plays it. And I'm still sitting down stern, and I'm not breaking. And she start playing this thing, and my mind starts going, and I'm like, yo, that sound wicked.
But
Like,
still.
that sound cool, but you know, I still have to kind of keep my face. So after about the second song or third song, without either of us talking,
Yeah.
I was like, all right. Well, from now on, that we have to play. Like, that's what we're playing now. No more classical music. I want to play like that.
Yeah.
And she's like, all right, we can do that. That's a compromise. But you're still going to have to do your classical music. And luckily I did, because that's where the technique comes from. And now I have an appreciation for all the classical music that I did. So we simultaneously did classical piano, and she found a way to start showing me some chord changes. And then she handed me off to her best friend, Leslie Butler, who would do jazz lessons with me simultaneously.
Wow.
So I was doing classical with her and doing my jazz stuff. And now it was the perfect mesh where the jazz thing helped me develop my ear. I can now play things off of the radio, Boys to Men, whatever was on
Right.
at the time. Now I can go play a piano for a girl and play something on the radio. I'm
Right,
not
right.
playing Beethoven.
Right.
So now it's like, oh yeah, like I like this now. It's a cool guy thing, and there was no more pushing and forcing.
Yeah.
And that was from jazz. Me starting to learn jazz at that point.
Wow. And this is Miss Mac.
This is Miss Mac.
It's funny, throughout people's lives, especially great ones, right? There's always somebody so impactful. Unfortunately, a lot of times they leave us. They leave out of our lives prior to knowing the impact they had on us. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes they depart from us before getting their credit. Sometimes, culturally speaking, to win, like give credit more time. You know what I mean? Until they're laying down. Is Miss Mac still around?
No, she passed in 2009, unfortunately, before all of this.
Wow.
Exactly what you're saying right now.
Wow. But she has been such, because as I even do research on you, right? You know, the research, they just put the meat on potatoes, which is cool. But even in those meat on potatoes, you know what I mean, as condensed as it is, I hear the mention of Miss Mac. You know
I
that
make
thing?
sure everywhere I go, I'm in a Miss Mac shirt.
Oh, snap.
Available on jaimehinckson.com/store. It's called the Miss Mac Music Store. I have Miss Mac music shirts in different colors and all these things, but she's the name of my first composition on that album I did in 2013. My first and the only original composition I had on that album is called Miss Mac.
Right, right.
The music label I just started in June is called Miss Mac Music.
Wow.
That's my new LLC. Like, I carry her everywhere I go. And like you said, in 2009, when she dropped out, it was unexpected. This is somebody I talk to all the time. But you take it for granted because you always feel like, you know, people are going to be there forever.
Yeah, yeah.
So every phone conversation, it wasn't just like, oh, I should answer because of this guilt trip. I would answer because we would have great conversations like, oh, you know, I was in Barcelona doing a study abroad. One of the great things I got to do in college outside of actually doing my schoolwork. I'm in Barcelona doing study abroad, and I end up finding a piano bar down there, and they love me. They wanted me to come down there every Monday and play. So, you know, I'm calling Miss Mac back home to say, yeah, can you believe I'm over here in Barcelona and I found a piano thing? And the way she talks to me all the time, she's like, of course, Jaime, you're my Jaime. Of course, your name's going to be in it. Like, she always talked about, from I was little, doing some little small, before classical music was like, oh, you're going to be great. And I'm like, oh, this is just old lady talk.
Right.
But now it's like a motivation where when she dropped down unexpectedly, I was in Barcelona. I couldn't even go back and attend her funeral. Money was tight, all these things, and I didn't even know how to react. Like, I didn't call her family. Like, it was just, I felt so dejected and didn't know, like, it was such a weird space and so unexpected. And one day I'm in Barcelona. This is a week after I got the news. Like, my sister called me on Skype and was like, yo, I have some news to tell you. So as soon as you get the little preview, it's like, all right, somebody really close just drop out. So I'm there scrolling through my mind like, all right, it's one of these 5 people. Is it mommy, daddy, brother, sister? Oh my gosh. So when she's like, Miss Mac, I was like, oh okay. Old lady, you know, some probably some old people thing, but you know, them live them life. And I'm like, oh, okay, no problem. She's like, you okay? I'm like, yeah. She's like, you sure? Because everybody else knew what Miss Mac was to me, but you know, I'm just like, hey, yeah, cool. I move on with my life, and about a week later, something just It's like she'd come down and box me from out the sky.
Right.
And I came off the train in Barcelona, and something just came over him. I just stopped bawling on the side of the street.
Wow.
I was uncontrollably, like, can't control myself, bawling, and realizing one big instance, like, yo, Miss Mac is not a phone call away. Like, anytime I got in trouble with my parents, anytime I got in trouble with anything, she'd be the one to bail me out. I could shoot somebody square in the face in front of her, and she'll look and say, that was not my Jamie, he never did that. Or if he did it, you should forgive him because Jamie said there was nothing I could do wrong.
Right.
And that balance, when she passed, you know, it was missing. And from then it was just like, well, how am I gonna make sure that everybody knows how great this woman was? I wasn't doing music at the time. There was no way for me to shine and kind of do it. So when I did my first album, it was only right that my first composition was written after her. Wow. And even now that I'm still pushing and doing my music, everything I do, every interview, every show I do, I play Miss Mac. She goes with me everywhere I go.
Bruh, Jano. So that first album was predominantly covers except for that one composition.
All covers except that one composition, track number 1.
Can we get a piece of? Yeah. A piece of. Yeah, I mean, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jaime Hinckson, we're talking about Miss Mac right about now.
I forgot the piano is actually here.
Miss Maca must be lighter right now.
Yeah, man.
Miss Maca must be lighter than side right now. Y'all see him there, man. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jaime Hinckson. It's funny, you know, when we think about music. I tell people this all the time, right? Jamaicans, we don't love track and field. We love Usain Bolt. Yeah, I mean, we love Champs. We love Shelly and Fraser, right? And what it is pretty much is Usain made track cool to everybody. There's always the track athletes that think it's fire. Nobody else does. The football player them think it's whack. The cricket player think it's whack. But the track athlete is fire for them, right? It's no different from basketball, where Steph made the three cool, you know what I mean? Before that, everybody trying to go through the paint and go dunk on somebody, right? I feel that way when I hear the likes of yourself play, because again, you make technique seem cool, you know what I'm saying? Intricacies of music seem cool, because again, you, like we said earlier, you meet 10, 20, 30, 40 musicians, and we use the word loosely, a bang and bubble thing. The technicalities aren't there, but they get away with it because, you know, when I'm on stage with the band where I play something and it seems cool, but to sit back here and to watch you do what you do with as much feeling as you do it with, you know what I mean? Miss Maca bust some straight blanks.
Yeah, man.
Right now. Trust me.
From a long time.
Trust me. And again, we go back to your mentors. You know what I mean? I hear the word Leslie Butler a lot. I mean, I remember J-Vibe. Fire, musician also.
J-Vibe was Leslie Butler's first student.
Yeah. So big up Mom Dukes, big up Miss Margaret. Now here's the funny thing about it. Not necessarily from the same tutelage, not necessarily from the same camp, but people with the same inspiration, the same drive, the same type of tutelage, type of mentorship tend to give off where you give off. Which is why I do hope that for the young ones coming up, you know what I mean? You had the Leslies and we had the, you know what I'm saying, the Miss Macs of the world. So hopefully you're going to be that to some of the upcomers coming up. How is that for you? You ever think about, you know what, mentorship may I deal with them? I get play some stuff, teach these kids to learn this music and interpret it the right way.
Yeah, absolutely not. I unfortunately don't have the patience of a Miss Mac, of a Leslie Butler.
Right. They didn't give you that.
I would snap on these kids, and these kids don't even have the respect that I had when I was taking lessons with Miss Mac and Leslie Butler.
Right.
Even like I said, when I'm telling you the way I talked to Miss Mac that day when I switched to jazz, I thought that was the most disrespectful thing I could say.
Right.
Can you imagine what a kid would tell me nowadays? I'm gonna end up in jail or something, and like, you know, me trying to do a good thing.
Fight with a 4-year-old.
Yeah, the problem with piano lessons, why I don't give piano lessons, is the people that take piano lessons, especially the kids, they're forced into it. The same way I was forced into it, and everybody was forced in. There's no piano kid that's like, oh, pick me, I'm a loser, I want to play piano. Like, no.
Right.
Your parents is like, go in this thing and we'll see if it sticks. But your parents are forcing you into it. Or maybe your parents want to be musicians, or maybe your parent is a musician and they want you to do music, and now it's this thing that you didn't want to do, but your parents think that you might be good in it. Or you have the people that want to start music when they're 40, 50 years old and say, you know, I've always wanted to do music. And they don't have the capacity to learn music or even take the time to practice the way kids might be able to. So between those two groups of people, that's what happens when I advertise, hey, I'm giving piano lessons.
That's what you get.
Now, what I get a lot on Facebook and Instagram, you have a couple of musicians around the world that will reach out and say, yo, Jaime, I love your stuff. Really appreciate you. I'm an upcoming piano player. I'm learning this and whatever. And hey, could you send me this? Or what's the chords you played here? Or can you do a tutorial video for this? Or how did you do this? Or whatever. I'll take the time to take somebody who's trying to learn, that was brave enough to reach out to me and ask me to say, look, I'm a real person responding to you. This is what you can do. You should learn this scale. You should try doing this. These are these chord changes, and I'll try to help as much as possible. There's this little youth in a band called League of Rebels. These kids out in the UK, they actually came out to see a show when we were doing a Euro tour with Jijo a couple months ago. But these little youths are family of musicians. Amazing.
Wow.
And the little keyboardist that plays keyboard for them, I'm sure all of them probably know how to play every instrument, but he'll reach out and talk to me, and the things that this kid knows.
Wow.
The instrument, the Jackie Matus and Monty Alexanders, he's looking up. He knows all these people, and he's telling me, "Oh, do you know also Gladys Anderson? Do you know all these other people?" And I'm just like, youth. When I was his age, I didn't know any of that stuff.
Right.
So you have people like that where I'm just like, okay, this is not a piano lesson. This is not a thing. Like, whatever guidance you need, I'm here. Reach out to me. Like, I'm following your journey now. Like, I'm so interested in where he's gonna go and other young musicians like him. Versus, hey, I'm a piano teacher now for everybody that wants to pay me money and force their kids to be rude with me in a room.
Ain't happening.
Nah, Miss Mac is not around anymore. She was the person for that. She would even make me do piano lessons with some of her kids.
Right.
And some of her kids I would be more stern with than her and be like, yo, Bridget, I don't play that foolishness.
Right.
Either you're doing this or you're not doing this. Like, pick what you want to do. I'll just get up and walk.
Right. So you ain't no Miss Mac.
No, I don't have the patience for that. None at all.
I appreciate the honesty because, I think that's one thing too that we need more. We see it in our high schools. We see it in our middle schools, in our colleges, right? The fact that you're the accountant don't mean you have the capacity to teach it. You know what I'm saying?
Very true.
And I love the fact that you look at it that way. But then, of course, again, just like Miss Mac, she's doing what she's doing the lessons. The mentorship is probably just something that fell off from the tree, right?
The mentorship was the thing that you didn't ask for, you didn't know what was happening, but that was like, she was it.
Yeah.
Everything.
And that's what you are to these folks.
I hope so.
Jano. Ladies and gentlemen, again, Mr. Jaime Hinckson. Brand new album out. I'm going to call it brand new because it's brand new to me, right? As with all musicians and artists, the music 2 weeks old and I new to you no more, but it new to me, right? Fresh produce, right? I was listening to it yesterday, and like I was telling you, there are a couple of instrumentalists that I know. Dope. Props to them. Dope stuff. But the music that they make to me almost gives me a background vibe. I don't want to say elevator music, but it's like there's a segment for that. So if I'm on air, I gotta find the segment for that. If I don't do that, then I'm forcing it, right? Your music is just a vibes. I was listening to the first track on the album, and literally by the time I was done with it, I had words written for that song. That's how it connect right away. You know what I mean? Talk to me a little bit about when you're creating, because as a songwriter, when I think of writing, I think of, okay, there's inspiration, and then I write about shirt, or I write about lights, and I start structuring it. But you're not using lyrics here; it's music, right? Talk to me about your creative process. How do you get down to making them joints and making them connect with not just me, but the average ear that's not as complex as you?
The first step is that you cannot plan to create. You don't know when you're going to be creative. Creativity might hit you at 4 o'clock in the morning in the middle of your sleep, and you wake up and you have a melody. And if you don't have a keyboard nearby or a voice memo on your phone to record it, you're going to lose it. So what ended up happening was, ended up moving back to Miami, right about a month or two after COVID lockdown, everything. So I had plans to do all these things in Miami, and in the heart of it all, and wanted to do so much and accomplish so much things coming back to Miami at a different status, and everything locked down.
Wow.
You couldn't go nowhere. You couldn't travel, you couldn't tour, there was no stage, there was no nothing.
Wow.
So you have a lot of musicians that sat down and cried and said, why, what am I gonna do? You have some people that, I'm gonna quit music because, I gotta pay this rent, I gotta do something. Everybody had to do what they had to do during COVID. Luckily, I had the opportunity to go over to a studio in Miami Gardens where I met this family of musicians, the Richards family. Bass player Dave Richards plays bass with Shaggy. And at the time, his sons Dave Jr. and Mike played with Johan Marley, Steven's son. So I went over there to do a session, and my brethren said, yo, come by the studio at 10 in the morning, whatever. And I'm not somebody that wakes up at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
So this person that invited me to the studio didn't expect me to come up at 10 in the morning. I was there at 10 in the morning. Why? Because it's COVID and I don't know any musicians in Miami, and I just want to do something.
Right.
When I go there and I hear these kids playing, the caliber of music and even their studio setup and everything, I was just like, yo.
Wow.
Like my brain just started sparking. So that day wasn't the day, but after that session, I was like, yo, when you guys free? And I realized everybody is free right now. They're like, yo, we're free all the time, and it's a home studio.
Right.
And it's not one of the people where, boy, you better make sure you come over here with your mask and stuff. And it was kind of the opposite, like, you know, we're here.
Right.
I went over there probably every day or every other day for like the next month or so. Became family with these guys, and we would just sit down and just bang out tunes. There was no script. There was no, I'm going to record an album. There was no project, nothing. It was just, yo, I want to sit down and jam.
Right.
Let's just make sure that we hit the record button here. Tune after tune after tune. These kids, and funny enough, they have the same birthday.
Right.
But they're born 4 years apart.
Oh, wow.
But they have this brother connection, like the Barrett brothers.
Yeah.
They're like a Sly and Robbie. Like, they're a great duo.
Wow.
So throw me in the mix now, and it was just a fun thing where it's just like, all right, they have the talent. Let's make this a fun thing, which is how I do my silent discos. I explained it at my album release party last month. By the way, this Sunday I'm having another silent disco. Come out and enjoy yourself. Tickets on Eventbrite. But
Purple Bombs.
yes, I'll say, all right, bass, you start, and you'll play a bass line. Doom, do 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 do, and he'll just keep repeating and looping. I'm gonna say, all right, Jaime, jump in, and he'll jump in with a rhythm. I'm gonna say, all right, what kind of vibe am I here now? There's nothing that the bass player or drummer could predict that I'm going to play at that point, but that's the important part of a collaboration.
Right.
Everybody has their say, and nobody knows what the end product's gonna sound like. So when the bass line goes doom, do do go doom, and he's in his mind saying, oh, I know exactly what Jaime going to play now. I twist him up now and go play some different chord changes that match his bass line. Wow. And that's how we ended up coming up with all of these Fresh Produce songs. Wow. They're on 6 of those tracks.
Wow.
The other ones were other experimentation stuff, but that's what happened during COVID, how this Fresh Produce album even came to fruition. Like, we recorded a bunch, like, I haven't even recorded with these guys since then. This is 2020. So the album that you're hearing is things that we recorded in 2020 that's just seeing the light of day now.
Wow.
And I've been anxious to get back in the studio with them to record something for the next 3 years.
Right.
But I'm talking about it was just a divine thing that happened.
Right.
If COVID didn't happen, I wouldn't be able to link up with them and do the album and all these different things, but it just works out in a funny, unique way.
So here's what I'm gonna do, Jaime, because I promised a couple of people, right? Not all of them, that they'd be able to talk to the musician too. So Richard, I'm live right about now. I know, so you probably want to say a word to the musician. All right, let me make sure first. I'm gonna cause people. You ready to talk to the musician? Hold on 1 second. Hold on. I'm gonna connect you. All right, we give you a couple seconds to say what up. Jaime, tell me if you can't hear the call. I call you live.
Yeah. What up?
Yes, bless, hearing you loud and clear.
Well, listen, me not take up, because I impose for the boss, sure. And you know, but me can't, me know say I'm deaf on ear, me no put in a top, right? Just go on do your thing. You see me?
Respect. Appreciate
man,
that.
respect. And you know, just hold the phone, because I know some music I get a whole heap of beat there right now. So we need every help we can get.
Where you hailing from?
Eh?
Where you hailing from?
Right in the South Florida.
All right. Well, big ups to you and all the South Florida crew. Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, man. Respect, my brother.
Much blessings.
Respect.
Sir Richie Blackford, Sunday Scoops. Make sure you check him out, ladies and gentlemen. By the way, you see the phone number is up there, and when we do the live acoustic sessions, I kind of do give them the one, you know, their opportunity to call in and converse with the musicians. Something special for them.
I don't mind at all.
You know what I'm saying? Fresh Produce, Jaime. Whenever I see album titles, right, I always feel like it comes from a special place, even if. And in the case of people who are putting out vocal songs, a lot of times your album title stems from one of the tracks, right? Whether you title it off of that for some significant reason, or the title came first and you create a song for it, or whatever the case may be. Fresh Produce now, right? Talk to me, why is this album called Fresh Produce?
Well, I definitely create all the names after the project is done. I listen to this song over and over again, and whatever the original file name was, like sometimes we'll keep the original file name, which is named by whatever funny thing is happening in the studio at the time. But for this case, Fresh Produce. So by the time I didn't even know I was recording an album, but by the time I realized I had enough tracks to put out an album, I had a couple songs with the Homebred crew, the Richards family. And then I started learning to play bass. So I had 3 tracks that I created where I played bass. And then I had a 9-track album with those 9 tracks. Then randomly I linked up with Aston Barrett Jr. up at his studio up in Pompano, and we made a song in like 10 minutes, and I was like, you know what, add that one to the album as well. Wow. And it's just, you never know how it's gonna happen, but by the time I was done, I realized that these were all recorded during this COVID holiday thing. So I call it Fresh Produce because this was fresh productions, fresh collaborations coming with some of the best and brightest producers I felt at the time. Like Aston Barrett Jr.'s sound is fantastic with reggae.
Trust me.
The Homebred family, who I didn't even know about, was a diamond in the rough, where I was just like, look, everybody needs to hear this song. Then the rhythms that I make with me playing bass, you know, big ups to myself. I thought that those were cool with the drummer that was actually playing with me and Holly Cook.
Wow.
That's who's on drumming for the other 3 tracks.
Right.
So this combination of collaborations with artists and personal people I knew, I thought it was a fresh start. It was a positive injection that was needed during COVID. It was a form of expression for us, and it was called Fresh Produce because it was just fresh productions, brand new, fresh. There was no stamp. This was the first time I was able to create the sound that I wanted, because with my first Take Flight album, I had to take jazz musicians that I met in Gainesville and teach them reggae.
Right.
So it's a lot more jazzy. It's a lot more elevator, like you would say. You could play it in the background. But what I wanted was a reggae tune that's knocking. You can hear the bass line. Like when we're mixing, I'm just like, turn up the bass, turn up the bass, turn up the bass. Like I want to feel it. I want to dance and groove. I want people to dance to my piano music. And then I'll throw a little bit of jazz piano on the top, which is what Fresh Produce was. So I went and was able to create these reggae tracks with these fantastic reggae producers and throw my jazz piano on top of it as a collaboration. So in a nutshell, that's how it ended up being called Fresh Produce.
Dope. And for the masses who were on air listening with me last night, I had to drop a couple of them. What I dug about the songs on the album is this. Like I mentioned, a lot of times we get instrumentals, no matter how intricate the musicians are, how talented they are. I don't know if they didn't think about that part when you're creating it, you know what I mean? But when I get a lot of those songs, there's got to be the segment for that. But you know, when you're at the dance and you play any song, or you're on air and you play any song, but there's some reggae rhythms, right? Not instrumentals to song, but some reggae, some sling things, or whatever the case may be, that you could drop in the middle of the thing. So I could be playing my Towers, or playing my Dewey and Stevenson, my Jojo Marley, whatever. I'm just drop in something from Fresh Produce, right? It ain't got no vocals on it, but it might as well.
It kicks in the reggae world. It kicks in the reggae world and the jazz world, and that's what I wanted. I wanted to be able to live in both properly, because what I get now, and the reason why I have to host my own events, when I go to the reggae promoters and I'm saying, all right, well, where's your singer? This isn't reggae music without a singer. And I'm just like, oh shucks, I didn't know that. Maybe it's not reggae music. Let me go to these jazz guys, because clearly it's jazz. And they listen to it and it's like, what is this? This is reggae music.
Right.
And I was like, hold on. Reggae is telling me it's jazz. Jazz is telling me it's reggae. So I have to end up throwing my own event. And the people that come is just family and friends that love both, and just like, no, look, I don't care if it's reggae, jazz, I don't care what you want to call it. Kalamazoo, I'm here for it because it's a nice vibe.
Right.
So it's been very difficult to run down reggae promoters and play on reggae festivals, even though it's reggae and heavy. And then the jazz guys are like, this is a little too heavy. You know, we want a little bit more jazz.
Right.
So yeah, it's a mix of both worlds, but unfortunately it's a niche crowd that's somewhere in the middle. And you know, I don't know where I quite fit in yet, but I just keep creating music that I love.
Bro, the thing, and you mentioned the word niche, right? It's great music, it's what we're cultured to accept. Like the reggae promoter said to you, where's the singer there? Where's the singer at, right? So it's something we're cultured to accept, is that there's got to be some vocals on it, right? Now, then we listen to it, and I'm riding on. I'm listening, you know what I mean? But for me, and they're scared too. They can't. It's like, how am I take the chance to put this out on the hoop? If I feel this way,
Yeah.
how do my patrons feel?
Well, lucky enough, with my Miss Mac music label
Mad.
that I just started in June,
Mad.
I am releasing some of the songs from my Fresh Produce album
Mad.
as rhythms.
Cool, no?
So I'm using Miss Mac label, my Miss Mac music label, to put out artists that I personally love and enjoy from all over the world in different languages. So you have songs like Don't You Love This Song, where I released a rhythm. You have a new artist on there named Kiara, who has a song called Love Galore. You have a wicked singer in Ethiopia named Layli, who I love working with. She has a song on there in Sidamu called Balu Danchaho. You have a guy in Germany with a song called Nur de Liebe hört nie auf.
Wow.
Only love can live. Balu Danchaho means all is well. But the whole vibe of the song, the same vibe that you feel when you hear the instrumental, you can hear it in every different language. So like I said, when I listen to music, I usually listen to the rhythm first.
Right.
I could care less about the artist. I'm not even listening to the lyrics. I can't even hear the lyrics unless I'm into the rhythm.
Right.
And I have to hear the rhythm a couple times. So I'm into the rhythm, and then I realize you're speaking in German.
Right.
You're speaking in Sidamu or Amharic. You're speaking in Portuguese. So I'm showing that reggae and music is a universal language.
Right.
You strip off my piano, you throw an artist on it, and now it's reggae. Now I can be at the reggae festivals. These
Right.
guys are performing these songs on reggae festivals in Europe and stuff.
Wow.
When it's an instrumental, they're like, oh no, we don't recognize it as reggae. But as soon as you drop an artist on it, bam,
Oregano.
it's reggae. So I'm using that to my advantage, putting out a couple artists, and over the next 4 or 5 months or so, you're gonna hear a bunch of different remixes from a bunch of different artists. As a matter of fact, next week Friday, I think I'm dropping the Easy Breezy Rhythm. You're gonna hear Rankin Joe, you're gonna hear Vin Garden from the Scatterlights. Like, this is the most exciting part for me, is being able to produce artists that maybe haven't had the shine, maybe don't have the budget or something, but I have the opportunity now to put them out.
Wow.
And say, look, this artist is nice, and clean it up and make it sound real nice, do my producing part, and where it goes, but it's the freedom of being able to just release music freely. And this is off of the same tunes from 2020.
Wow.
So
Wow. I think the industry, and I said the industry because, we have reggae, we have dancehall, but overall the Jamaican music industry, we could talk about a lot of things, but I particularly dive into because that's where I think we need our strengths, right? When you think of R&B, you have your mainstream, you got the radio records, the ones that the purists don't enjoy, right? And then you have the ones where, the purists love, the underground sounding vibe. That goes for R&B, that goes for hip hop, that goes for even country, that goes for a lot of other genres. But when it comes to reggae, it's almost like there's more limitation. And when I say more limitation, from us as the consumer, because the world at large is consuming reggae, and the world at large will love what you're doing, but we don't live in the world at large. We live here amongst us, and we don't accept music. We accept artists, and it's not just this. I always feel like even when it comes to a stage show, people don't come out to hear music. They come out to see artists. So you be there, and then I tolerate it till Kalanja touch the stage because that's what I came to see.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I think it hits us hard. But I will say this: people they gonna get in. They gonna fall in line.
well, luckily I don't follow those people. Luckily I get to travel. If I wasn't able to travel the world with the Holly Cooks and the Julian Marleys of the world that I've toured with, I wouldn't be able to see the appreciation people really have for musicians and the music.
Right.
When I play with Juju Marley, we rehearse for 2 weeks before we have a 1 week tour.
Right.
We are serious about the music part,
Right.
the rehearsal part, the music part.
Right.
Where when we go to a show, even if they didn't want us there, even if it was like, I don't know if I should come, everywhere we go, we bust down the door.
Right.
Because we're prepared and the music is solid. So even if you didn't know you wanted to see the opener for Kalonji, you come there and you're just like, yo, that band they're wicked.
Yeah.
You have to look it up because we turn your head.
Yeah.
You might have been coming to see Kalonji, but boy, that band was wicked. Secondary.
Yeah.
So you just have to be prepared for those moments. And I realized when you go to Europe, they already know about the band.
Right.
They could tell me about a music video I did with Holly Cook way back years ago and what song I played, and I'm just like, Reginald, where did you dig up that video from?
Right.
So you have I have an international following where everywhere I go, I end up running into somebody that's just like, yeah, I'm here to see Juju Marley, but you're Jaime Hinckson.
Right.
They know the individual musicians the same way I can say Family Man Barrett. I can say Carly Barrett. I can say Tyrone.
Yeah.
I can say Waya Lindo.
Yeah.
I know individual musicians. Monty Alexander, Jackie Matu. Can you name the bands that they played in?
Right.
These people in Europe, in Africa, in Brazil, in Mexico, outside of the US and JA, they know individual musicians and music. And sometimes you get caught up in the world here in Miami or Jamaica, and it's just like, well, I'm not really getting nowhere and I'm not getting no love and stuff. And as soon as you step out, people in Ethiopia love the vibes.
Wow.
People all over France love the vibes. People in Mauritius and Australia and Japan and different places I've never been to are messaging me on Facebook like, yo, Bridget, can you come here and do a show?
Right.
And I'm like, for you, one? It's like, yo, no, me and my whole crew listen to your music, man. We love this. And they're going through my catalog.
Right.
That I didn't think anybody was listening to, because my local streaming sales don't show how big you are in this place, and you never know. You just have to put it out so that people can catch it.
Yeah.
But you don't know where people are listening.
I dig that. No, I got the opportunity to listen to Fresh Produce, right? A lot of the masses haven't yet. So here's what I'm gonna do before them fix it, because it will happen, right? I'm gonna let you take over from here. You know what I mean? Do your thing. I'm right here. I'm enjoying the show too. You know what I mean? If you want to give us the stories as you go through, it's all good. But guess what? It's showtime, ladies and gentlemen. I'm into the artistry. So if it's up to me, we'd be here 10 o'clock. You just telling me the history of the thing. So I'm gonna let you roll. I'm gonna let you do your thing.
All right. So,
ladies and gentlemen,
the first song on the album is actually one of my favorites. It's called "Don't You Love This Song." So the way I named this song, I was here trying to figure out, man, what's gonna be the name of this song? Like, this album's gotta come out, and I'm here spending a bunch of time trying to figure out what the hell I'm going to name it. Like, I need to stop getting so mixed up in the song, and I keep listening to it over and over again. And every time I ask somebody else, I'm like, man, what are we gonna name this thing, man? Don't you love this song? Yo, it's so nice. It has such a nice vibe. And I realized that the melody actually goes perfect with the title, Don't You Love This Song?
wow.
And I realized that, you know, this is actually the perfect name for the tune, Don't You Love This Song? And it just catch. And funny enough, when I go play this at shows, people are singing along to my instrumental song that has no lyrics.
Wow.
Don't you love that song?
I know I do. I do. Don't you love that song? And ladies and gentlemen, the album is called Fresh Produce. And of course, talk to me a little bit about the show at Purple Palms. Your show.
So very similar to this acoustic vibe. If you love this vibe, you're gonna love the vibe this Sunday. I've been doing I did a silent disco for my album release party last month. So I'm doing another one, except instead of just me, you get the full band. And everybody's in headphones, and it's almost as if you're in the studio with us during the creation process. I have a microphone, I'm talking to everybody like this, I'm explaining the origins of the song. It's really nice little vibe, all-inclusive rum punch. There's a fish fry going on simultaneously out back for all the hungry belly people, and it's from 4 to 7 on a Sunday, so it's early enough for you to come enjoy yourself and still have time to get home. You have work the next day and stuff, but a nice little vibes. And you know, this is actually the preview to the event this Sunday. So anybody who's in town, South Florida, going all the way up to Coral Springs, wherever you're coming down from, I'm telling you, it's worth it. And it's free parking, which is something that you usually don't find in Wynwood. So
yeah,
definitely come out and enjoy the vibes.
Listen, and I hear the word silent disco, right? Which is again headphones. So you're not hearing, if you ain't got the headphones on, you're not hearing stuff except, like you said, the drums.
Right. You'll only hear the drums if you take off the headphones. You can't hear me on the microphone. And I could be walking up and down in the place. You can be in the bathroom with your headphones, you'd still hear me.
Right.
You can be outside eating fish or doing your thing, and you still hear all the vibes going on with the musicians inside. But it's such a cool vibe, and doing it last month, and everybody's saying, look, man, you got to do this thing again.
Wow.
I don't know if it was because they were drunk off of the rum punch or if the music actually sounded good, but it was just a really nice vibe. So I'm excited to give it to the people again.
So it's you and the full band.
Me and it's a 4-piece band.
Right.
But vibes. Leslie Butler will probably pass through. Might have some other special guests. Kiara, who I just talked about, is probably gonna come through and do some songs. I never know who's gonna pop in, you know.
Right.
There's so much people in Miami or passing through Miami, you never know until the day of, you know. So
I know.
Yeah.
Sound like a vibe. I'm gonna have to roll through. I'm seldom in Miami, but I'm gonna have to roll through. We talk about fresh produce. One of my favorite fruit is, I think, that sweet sap. You know what I mean? And I know there's a tune on there named Sweet Sap. Get a little piece of the sweet sap, a little feel for the.
You gonna play sweet sap?
Oh, me? No. I'm at the show, baby.
I don't even remember sweet sap.
You don't remember sweet sap?
Well, sweet sap have a bunch of horn lines. I think I'm actually playing organ on sweet sap too. Let's see. Well, this is the best part about the acoustic part, and this is what people get on the day of the event, where it's just like, this album is something that we created in 2020, and even though it's out now, I'm having to rehearse my music from 2020 to learn back my music to play at the show.
To give it to them.
Yeah.
But
But Sweet Sap is a song that I actually skipped last time, but that's your favorite too.
That's one of my favorite is Don't You Love This Song. Sweet Sap is my second.
Let me see. Let me try and think of Sweet Sap now. I have to think of my own melody.
That's my joint.
I don't even remember your joint. But it goes a little something like that. If you listen to track number 2, it's gonna sound a little bit better, but something like that.
I dig it. Well, no. It's always hard to ask artists because you know your albums and your music. It's like your kids, you know what I mean. So it's not like what I prefer, whatever. But from the Fresh Produce album, when you go around the keys, you know what I mean, whether the board, the keyboard, the ivory, what's the first one that comes to your fingertips when you jump on?
I always play Don't You Love This Song.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I opened up a bunch of Gigi shows with Don't You Love This Song, and people are just like, wow,
Yeah.
what is that?
Man.
And it's been a nice little vibe. We went to Brazil the other day. Don't You Love This Song? Like that. That's why it's the number 1 song. It was the first single I dropped. It was the first rhythm I dropped.
Right.
But that was my favorite. I have other favorites though. Like even the song that I played with Aston called Golden. We were at his studio late one night and we're just jamming, and I'm jamming on his clavinet and his Rhodes, and you know, we're just messing around, and he made a drum beat and a bass, and it's just looping, and it's like, yo, we could just record something.
Yeah.
Red light. 1, 2, 3. And the one and only take that I did is what you hear on the Fresh Produce album.
Wow.
Like that was it.
Wow.
The melody came to me instant, and the thing is, when I do this like I did a hip hop jazz album in 2020 also called Take Time. I'll play some hip hop jazz stuff before I leave here, but when I'm doing those tracks, the first track that I come up with is usually the best one. If you take the time to do it a second time, a third time, a fourth time, a fifth time,
Right.
even if I do it, I always come back to the first one. There's something in that vibe where you're not trying to copy the last thing, and it was one of those natural things where after we recorded for 5 minutes, I was like, print it.
Right.
That's the one. And that's the track that you guys hear on the album.
Golden.
Yes, Golden.
Drop a piece.
I love doing this acoustic style. I can do anything I want. There's no rules. So.
You can go wherever you feel like where you can reach. Jaime. I'm telling you, I love the vibes. I love the recordings, but soaking it in, stripped down to, is a joy, man. I gotta pick up some folks. Carol, what's up? Lawrence, what's up? The people, I love the thing. All right.
Nice.
Who else is up in here? Hope, what's going on? Frida's in the UK says she's loving the vibe. All right. Thank y'all so much for rocking. Again, we're just having a good time. Joy, what's up? James, what's up? Camille, what's up? Get them what you want. The people in there, upon them. More fire, Jimmy.
Well, I was talking about my hip hop jazz stuff. So
okay.
Since I did my album release party last month, I was like, this time, sure, I'm doing the Fresh Produce event again. Of course, I'm gonna play my new album, but I didn't get a chance to push my hip hop jazz album. So my hip hop jazz album lives in a world that's completely outside of the reggae world.
Right.
It lives in that lo-fi, that little place, Robert Glasper, Terrace Martin, that kind of stuff, Kamasi Washington. So it's a completely different demographic, and because of COVID, I was unable to really tour or play shows specifically for that hip hop jazz crowd. And before you know it, coming out of COVID, I have a new reggae jazz album that I'm pushing. So it's kind of hard to go back to the hip hop jazz, but every once in a while, people are like, "Yo, what about that hip hop jazz stuff?"
Yeah.
And it's my way of bridging the gap between the young and the old. When I play this reggae jazz stuff, I get commemoration from the Leslie Butlers of the world. Paul Douglas called me the other day to say thanks. Carl McDonald. There's the older reggae crowd that's like, "Wow, we love what you're doing. This is just like our old school stuff." And the young people that like my stuff is just because they're my friends and family, or people that grew up and it's like, "Oh, Jimmy, that's some cool stuff." But to really catch them, if it was somebody that doesn't know me, this hip hop jazz thing really caught everybody, where it's just like, "Yo, that is something I can listen to." It's basically like an old school J Dilla, and I'm playing instrumental jazz piano on top. So I'm gonna give people a taste of that this Sunday. And
What's the name of that album?
That's called Take Time.
Take Time.
And that was during the George Floyd thing and all that stuff, and I was just like, everything was tense, everything was crazy, and it was my thing to say, "Yo, everybody needs to just slow down and take time." And it was another injection of some positive vibes where I'm just like, look, listen to this thing before you go. A lot of people suicidal. Man, so much happened during COVID, and music, I feel, is a very, very powerful thing. And I have that gift, like God gave me this gift, so I have the power to change somebody's mind. I have the power to control somebody's emotions, and you can use it for bad, you can use it for good. So when I had the opportunity to come out with that album, it was a nice little piece of something for people to say, like, "Oh, although I'm locked up in this house, at least I have some good music to listen to," you know?
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm getting a lot of messages. People, I'm loving it. It's coming from left, right, and center.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Miss Farmer says here, as Leslie always said, the beauty about playing like this is you forget the music, run the scales.
Who said that?
That's J Vibe's mom.
Yes. She would know. She would know best.
She know the vibe.
I actually just took my first piano lesson with Uncle Leslie the other day. The first piano lesson I've had in 15 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he's been calling me like, "Oh, you still practicing that thing I showed you?" I'm like, yeah. It's just like the old days, but.
Bro, they're loving the vibe. And the thing about the music that you do too is, like you said, you know, even though there are some people who will gravitate a little bit more toward the hip hop jazz stuff, and they do have the people gravitate a little bit more toward the reggae stuff, people like polished music. I know I like polished music. So if the reggae polished enough, you can drop that mess on top 40 radio, depending on what, because the stuff you hear on Maxi Priest right about now, they be playing that on Wild World, on anything, right? Because it's reggae, but it's polished enough. You know, people would say, "Well, it's poppy enough or it's crossover enough." Nah, I just say it's polished enough, and the sound that you add to this stuff is polished enough to where it transcends. So I'm confident the old heads are gonna dig the hip hop jazz stuff too.
I'll give you a little piece of something I did back in, what was it? I think it was like 2016. Another Diamond in the Rough song. I don't know if people know this song, but one of my favorites, and I think the first hip hop jazz I came out with, was this song. It's called Push. And I don't know if you're not gonna be able to catch the the vibe, but at least you can look it up later and you'll see the context of what I'm talking about. But it's really hard to give you the hip hop jazz vibe or to have you imagine what it would sound like with the band, but you don't have to imagine if you come to my event this Sunday and you hear it live.
And as a matter of fact, somebody was just calling in a while ago, but of course, I'm trying to enjoy the vibe too, so I couldn't. So call right back. Call right back. Caller, if you're watching right now, you're still on. Be like, that brother, pick up a call and I put him on. I couldn't, man. I couldn't. I was soaking it in, you know what I mean? But definitely call back in real quick, so we can have you chop it up with Mr. Jaime Hinckson. Listen, you know, when it comes to live music, and this is, I guess, when they come out to the event, which I'm imploring most of the people here, all the people here, you know, who are in the local vicinity from, when I say local, I mean all the way from Palm Beach, Jono. We got vibes here, Jimmy. We got vibes.
To
Caller,
accept, press 1.
see
To
that?
send a voicemail,
Far did that come
press
from?
2.
Far. Caller, can you hear us?
Yeah.
All right. Turn down the TV on your end, or the volume on the other end.
Caller, can you hear it? Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. Cool beans.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you clearly. Crystal, thank you for calling.
Yeah. That last shot push, that's my favorite, man.
What?
My boy knows that. He must
know
have played
this
it
is.
not knowing that I was listening. This is his dad.
Oh, okay.
I was like, man, that guy sounds
Hey, John,
familiar.
what's up?
Yeah, that was going on.
I've been watching you guys from 7:30. Good show.
Thank you very much. So you're the one that's supposed to get all the credit. You're the one supposed to get all the props.
I don't know about that. I'm not taking any credit. Right? I'm just enjoying all of this.
I appreciate
I'll
it.
let you guys finish.
Thank you.
All right, pops.
Thank you.
They say walk good.
Blessings, blessings, blessings. I love that. I love that.
This is right after he told me, man, this YouTube thing's not working, blah. And I told you, in my family, they have a special name for me. Anytime I gotta do some Geek Squad thing or fix a laptop, fix a something YouTube not working, my WhatsApp messages not. They call me Jamal.
Mm-hmm.
So I get a phone call and I know immediately that it's a tech call. If my sister calls and says, Jamal, I'm having some problems with my laptop, blah, blah, blah. My dad will call me and say, Jamal, my WhatsApp messages aren't going through.
Right.
Mommy, no, I'm fixing up our laptop. Jamal, I need you to do this. So Jamal is like my Geek Squad name. So I'm glad, Daddy, that you got the YouTube video running in the living room.
I love that. You know, it's regardless of when the support starts or whatever the case may be. Let's talk about that, because that's another conversation that I've had with many of the greats the young greats that I sit and I talk with, is just the fact that, and even some of the OGs too, is the fact that they've had support. You know what I mean? And you know, whether it be family, whether it be your spouse, whomever it is, because it's hard to, you know, it's a hard trod solo. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's not the music, especially when it comes to reggae and dancehall. It is not the most immediately rewarding, right? Mm-hmm. Or consistently rewarding. The gratification is not instant. The gratification is, you know, it takes a while a lot of times. But having that support, right, where you can just sometimes be an artist. A lot of times we're not allowed to be, and I think that kind of hampers our greatness too. Mm-hmm. It's one thing when you're a musician, trying to be a musician, trying to do what you do, but you're also an electrician / carpenter / farmer. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about support, what that means to you.
Support is very, very, very important. When I was recording my first album, this is before I decided to move to California. Mm-hmm. Daddy especially was supportive and, oh, you want to record an album? Oh, great. I didn't know what it would cost as far as budgets and creating CDs, and I'm slowly finding out when I'm in the middle of the process, like, oh crap, you know, I don't know if I can do this on a college budget and stuff. So I started a Kickstarter, and that's where the support started, where everybody's like, yeah, you're doing something, you need money to do it, it looks like something good, we'll pitch in. Right. And everybody gave their look at $10, $20, and bam, I was able to create my first album. Wow. Without it, I don't know how I'd be able to do it. Right. I have Daddy out there distributing all my stuff for me. He's there blasting even this radio interview. Every time I have something, I know I just send it to him and it's going to go out to 200 people because he's a WhatsApp tete. So when anything I send him on WhatsApp about me, it's going out to the world. Yeah. Like I know that's one person where, you know, everybody's informed. If you didn't hear about it, it's because you don't have Daddy's number. That's why you shouldn't blame me. Right. So the support system is very important. As you can see, he listens to every interview, all these things. But, you know, even my events, it's family and friends that are consistently there and encouraging me to do this stuff over and over again. And every time I come out with a new pitch, a new T-shirt, a new album, you know, you think the family's gonna be like, oh gosh, another one of Jamie's things again. All right, I'll buy you a shirt. And you know, I even have a cousin Pat up in Virginia. Anytime I come out with shirts or something, she has a huge family, so she's buying 6-7 shirts one time, and it doesn't matter if it's the band that I had in California. I have a band named Tendaji, and you know, right before I moved to California, to Miami, Tendaji was my thing. Everything was about Tendaji. I'm selling Tendaji shirts. We're doing Tendaji shows. Right. The whole nine. I got everybody in these shirts. And then I moved to California, and now I'm the band member missing from Tendaji in California. So kind of, you know, fell apart. And now I'm just like, okay, hip-hop jazz album. All right, everybody buy into these new Take Time shirts. Right. And then it's like, all right, fresh produce. And I'm getting ready to spam everybody on Monday about my store. It's already up, but you know, I plan on sending out an official email to say, hey, give me some more of your money. I have Miss Mac shirts, I have fresh produce shirts, but consistently every time I send it out and I spam people, and I'm just like, oh, I don't know if people are gonna respond to this or be like, you know, block my phone number, like, oh, Jamie's always promoting something. Instead I get back responses like, oh great, I'm coming, or bam, people will buy. Like my last album release party, there's people that bought tickets that don't even live here, just to support, just to be like, yo, I wish I could come, I can't come, but here's some support. So it's very important. It goes a long way, and I definitely appreciate it. I see it. People from all over the world, wherever the support comes from, the little messages that I get, of encouragement, those little things boost me to keep going, to keep recording.
Right.
And sometimes you need that recognition, you need that reminder to give you that motivation to keep pushing, because a lot more times than you'd like, it's the opposite, where it's like, this not work out, this not make no money, this not work, and nobody came to this event, and nobody's buying this shirt, and you should just give it up, and I wonder if Ford might still hire me. And it's those little things that are just like, no, we're here. And for those 1, 2, 3 handful of people, I would do it forever and ever just for them, because of how much they're into it and how much my music means to them. So
wow, I dig that. And that word support, I hope it grows for you, for the industry, for everybody that's putting for good stuff, just like how we can line up for the BS, sometimes we can line up for the good stuff too. And this is music. What I love about this vibe is this. My pops is 70-something years old, right? If he's up to it, I could take him. You know what I'm saying? And we could go hang out and we could go chill. I could take my mother-in-law, who was at church in the morning. You know what I'm saying? And she could enjoy our vibe too. And that's the universal appeal of what you do, right? There's no limitations. And I'm sure that also, again, we're dialing it right back to Miss Mac. You know what I mean? You doing classical and then venturing over into jazz with no limitations. She ain't stop. You shouldn't hold back. So when we talk about no limitations, sometimes it spreads further than just the music. It spreads into who we are. That's why I think it's important we don't restrict anybody. You know what I mean? Bro, let me just say on behalf of those people watching, listening right now, radio people, the people watching live, thank you so much. I dig the album. It's in my, I'm streaming it. For the people who have streaming services out there, stream the music. If you don't have streaming service out there, go buy the music. I am a person, well, all you tell you this. Streams are cute. Yeah. Downloads are sexy. Go download the thing. All right. So I download my copy this evening. I'll make sure you download your copy of the thing too. Come out to Purple Palms on Sunday
from 4 to 7.
So what's all early thing? It's not like you can come and enjoy the vibe and go right back to work Monday morning.
4 to 7, you come in your Sunday dress, you come get some rum punch, take a few pictures, listen to some nice music. There's a fish fry going on out back, and you're home by 8 o'clock.
Jano. Ambiance is a word that Purple Palms has, right? I think we got one more coming in. We got one coming in. Hold on 1 second there. Hold on. You are live. Caller, you are live. Did we lose you?
Catch cold feet, quick.
Wait, hold on. You know what? I'm gonna call on the. I'm gonna return. I'm gonna start returning calls right about now. I'm gonna start returning calls. Just because we can.
I hope nobody else I know calls in. I'm so nervous.
All of Jamie's family, I implore you to call in right about now. All right? We take embarrassing stories, all them things. All right? Call in, give us the most embarrassing stories you have since I was in my.
Oh boy!
Since he's saying what he's saying, but I'm gonna get my caller back on the line. You know. Are you there? Hold on. I don't know if you intended to call in or not, but you're live right now.
I'm going to get. I know. Get my call about
turn down the thing on your end, please. Whether it be the TV or so forth.
Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
All right, the floor is yours. You can go on reason with Jamie.
Hi.
Jamie, just wanted to say congratulations. This is J Vibe's mom.
All
the very best to you. Okay, I just love this instrumental stuff.
Thank you so much.
Trust me, he knows that. Mr. G. Cole knows it only too well.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it, and appreciate parents like you and my parents that push me and J Vibe to do what we're doing. Like, it's amazing. I linked up with J Vibe in the UK.
Yes.
You know, we run into each other all over the world in different places and get to see the fruits of our labor, and it's really because of our parents' support and pushing us to do these things. So big thanks to you. Thank you for listening in, and thanks for the vibes that you give to J Vibe and the motivation you continue to give us.
Take care of yourself and make sure you do your thing the right way.
Definitely.
That's the key.
Do. Thank you so much.
G. Cole will tell you what I'm talking about. So
Absolutely. Thanks a
because
million.
you do original stuff, and that's very, very important for you to take care of it.
Yes, yes, we'll do. Thank you so much. I'll take that with me.
Thanks a million. Appreciate ya.
All right. Take care.
All right.
All right.
Thanks.
Okay. Bye.
Bye bye. Ladies and gentlemen, trust me. Sometime I'll be on the phone talking to Miss Farmer. I for call into and make sure somebody get me my info. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She put me on. You did not do that the right way. Take it down. Put it back up the right. I'm like, yo, thank you so much. You know?
Yeah.
But we need that.
Yeah.
And like you said, Miss Mac, Mrs. Farmer, your parents, I guarantee you, they're not just mentoring you. That's the thing, and them not just support you. Support is what they do, and I think overall we need that. That's half the reason I think our industry and our youth go astray a lot of times, because I think sometimes the people who have the influence, sometimes they think that it's not received, and sometimes they feel like somebody them don't want to hear it. But truth be told, some of them do. You know what I mean? So big up your pops, big up the entire fam, big up Mrs. Farmer and the whole nine, and of course, I'm coming down to Purple Palms on Sunday. Come hang out. You said it's from what? From 4?
4 to 7.
4 to 7.
Yeah.
What time is showtime?
Realistically around 5 or 5:30. But you know, when people start drag them feet and come late, it's a Jamaican event. You know, last time we started at about 5:30, but the music doesn't stop. So once I start, if you missed it, man, you missed it.
Right.
It's a nice little vibe, so but yeah, we're running until 7. You know, more than likely we're going past 7, but the music will be done by probably around that time. But you know, anything can happen.
And the ambiance, I can say the ambiance down there is dope. You can't beat it.
Yeah,
it just feels dope.
This will be my 5th event or so. Like during COVID when everything was locked up, I don't want to get Steven in trouble, but I was the first event down at Purple Palms. We were throwing events when we weren't supposed to. But I had my hip hop jazz album that I just released, and I did a couple events there past the whole curfew thing and whatever, but because we were locked up inside Purple Palms, people couldn't hear what was going on. So it was this exclusive vibe, like if you knew what was going on, you knew what was going on.
Sound
now,
like some
you know,
Steven
I'm doing official events where we don't have to hide or nothing, but you know.
Sound like some Steven stuff. I'm just saying. That's my guy though. That's my guy. Jaime, drop your social media. Drop your social media for the masses.
Social media, J.A. Hinckson. My initials are Ja. No affiliation to the Rasta group, but Daddy did that to me. My Instagram is J.A. My last name Hinckson, Hinckson. If you go to facebook.com/J.A. Hinckson, if you go to Instagram at J.A. Hinckson, if you go to my website, it's JaimeHinckson.com, JaimeHinckson.com. My store is live now. You can catch these nice Miss Mac music shirts. You have Fresh Produce shirts. I have Fresh Produce USB albums. I forgot to bring you one. So when you come on Sunday, I'm going to give you one for sure.
Appreciate it, sir.
But yes, you can Google me. I'm on YouTube as well, J.A. Hinckson. Everything is J.A. Hinckson. You can find me. I'm not hiding. I'm on Spotify, Apple Music, Deezer, Tidal, everywhere. If you can't find me, ask somebody. They'll find me and tell you about me somewhere.
And the thing that I will also implore the massive is this. We are a procrastinating culture, right? So we're going to say, all right, you don't know. I'll catch him next time. Jaime tours with Juju and Julian Marley. All right, we are tours with Julian Marley. And of course, does his own thing. And you never know. Might be out there with Drake. You don't ever know. Yeah. So if you don't come see the show now, then I don't know. You might, the next time when you have plans, it might not work out for you because he might be in a corner of the world that's too far for you to get to.
Very, very true. Now that shows are back, it's going to be non-stop. Like the next show we're playing in Qatar for World Cup at the beginning of December.
Wow.
And then I'm trying to do a couple little things that I'm not ready to announce yet. But, you know, we bounce around. We tour and stuff, so I'm never in Miami. So we just happened to be in Miami last month. I had to ask permission.
Wow.
And ask ahead of time and be like, look, I have this event I want to do in October, like from May.
Right.
And say, yo, make sure you guys don't plan any show that weekend. I don't want to flop nobody's show.
Right.
But I have an album release party on October 2nd, and bam, I was able to do it. I had to look around the corner and be like, maybe I can do this again. Do we have anything in November? Do we have anything? No? All right, bam. I dropped the event. So I really don't know when or how consistent I can be with these events. This might be the last event until maybe even next year summer, the way we plan to be working. So, like G. Cole said, if you have the opportunity to come this Sunday, or you didn't make it out last month, definitely try to make the effort to come. It's well worth it. And I want people to be able to go back and say what a silent disco live band experience is like.
Wow. You know, I'm roll with the fam. I'm gonna take my wife out. I'm gonna take my daughter out. I think they'd love it too. The whole experience, and of course the concept of listening in the headphones too. Yeah, you know what I mean? And get no whack acoustics, because enough time people in the club and them swear so them play sound good enough.
No, man.
The bones off all the chandelier and lip in them ears.
When you have on the headphones, you're forcing to listen to the quality that we hear it in the studio. You're hearing everything pristine and crystal clear on the album the way we record it. It's not you listening in your AirPods. It's not you listening in the background. This is you taking the time where you, like when I look out at everybody in the crowd that has on headphones, they just look like this.
Zombied out, like zoned out. Yeah.
Because you're listening to the music, maybe even for the first time, the way it's meant to be listened to. Mm-hmm. So my event forces you to hear the music as an audio file, which is how I want people to interpret Fresh Produce.
And for those people who are musically inclined and from a production side, you know what I'm talking about. But for those people who aren't, right, when the music is made, it's in a big wave file it's like a big dumpling. And that's the solid proper one, right? By the time you get it from iTunes, them slice it and get a little piece of the dumpling. Still tastes like dumpling, but it's light and it now go full your belly, right?
Yeah, some flop dumpling.
Some flop dumpling. But you're getting it the right way. Trust me. I'm gonna be out there. I'm imploring y'all to come out and have a good time with us. To Jaime, it's a vibe, bro.
Yes,
it's a vibe. Mikasa, Sukasa, come through anytime. Whatever you're doing, let me know. I'll pass through if I can. If I'm here, I do travel too, so I gotta work with the schedule. You know what I mean? I'm not in Barcelona. I ain't going front. You know what I mean? I'm not. That's vacation. You know what I mean? But once I'm here, if you have something going on, if you're there, if the stars align, I'm there. Just let me know.
100%. I'm gonna loop you in the loop with all the rest of the spam and stuff.
Bruh,
Plus,
spam me.
when I release these rhythms, I have to make sure I send you all these songs. There's all these new artists from all over the world that be perfect for your show.
Jano. We get him a call and we're gonna talk about it. Speaking of production, again, Julian Marley was in here recently, and his brand spanking new song, "Don't Ruin My World."
Big tune.
You on that joint?
Yeah, I'm playing the piano solo. I helped to do the production, saw that through from start to finish, and now it's out. And we've been touring. We just did a whole Brazil tour called "Don't Ruin My World."
Wow.
We went to Sweden and performed it. It's catching on. It's a nice vibes. It has a positive message. So love that song and everything that we did. We actually put a whole children's choir behind it. Big up to the children's voice. Mm-hmm. But so much that went into that song, man. Beautiful melody and stuff.
Yeah,
man.
Wicked tune. And it ain't even stopped there. I just did a blog, had to do a review on that Kabaka Pyramid album called The Calling, which to me is my favorite album for the year thus far. And of course, you produced on that too.
Yeah, well, I played a few of the instruments on Make Things Work, a couple of different songs, but, you know, linking up with Damien and Juju in the studio all the while. Like I said, Kabaka is a fantastic artist himself. He knows the computer stuff in and out. As a matter of fact, he went on a tour the other day, and I get a text from him saying, "Yo, Jimmy, what's the name of that song that you played on this record for this?" And I'm just like, I thought about it, and I was like, nobody ever asked me that stuff. I'm like, should I even give out the song? But I'm like, but this is his record, and I'm like, let me look it up real quick when I get to my keyboard. Bam, I find the song. Mm-hmm. He hits me back up. He's like, you played another song on it also. I need that song too. And I'm like, yo, the man know him music. I know him thing. And I had to go back and listen to the track and be like, oh, I put those pads underneath, and I found the pad, and some of them are custom sounds, and I sent it so that his keyboardist could play it on the tour. But fantastic album, fantastic artist. I got to play on about 3 or 4 of the tracks between clavinet, pads, and different things, some last minute additions, but just vibes. Being in the studio with artists like that makes the difference. Like those late night sessions and coming up with stuff and adding some little bells and whistles to those things, man. I love all of that stuff, part of the production.
Love it. And I'll give the artist commendation here that it means so much to him to give the music to the people the right way.
Yeah.
That he reached out to you for that. Because some other people just say, just play a song.
That's you have some.
Keep the phrase right, but you're not missing a song.
You have some artists that switch them band like people switch underwear.
Jano.
They just go there to collect. So it's like, look, whoever's willing to come for this number, come on the road with me. You have other artists like Julian that's like trying to stick with the same band consistently to have a consistent sound.
Right.
You swap out pieces until you find the perfect thing, and that's what you take on the road because you want to present yourself as best as possible. So I appreciate a person like Kabaka reaching out saying, yo, what is that exact sound you played on my record? I don't even want to sample the sound from the record and put it on a keyboard. Tell me the name of the song because I have the keyboard here. I'm going to try and play it back live. Wow. I appreciate people that go that extra mile, people that rehearse extra to do a one show. Right. And that's the difference between working with a Julian Marley or another artist that just, anything. Awesome. You don't have a set list, you don't have nothing, you don't have no plans. It's just, we're just going to do a thing for 30 minutes and it's just like, okay, wow.
Right.
So, yeah.
I dig that. Ladies and gentlemen, again, thank you all so much for rocking out, man. It's Jaime Hinckson. And again, check out the man on YouTube. Check him out everywhere. The brand spanking new album is called Fresh Produce. Right? And of course, the hip hop jazz album is called
Take Time.
So take time to go listen to that, right? Take time to go listen to that album. And then, of course, when you're done, get yourself some fresh produce too. You know what I mean? It's nutritious. A certain thing set up. We got to get up out of here. All the people listening on radio right now, thank you so much. Those people watching live, thank you so much. I appreciate y'all big time. Again, Homegrown with G. Cole. Subscribe. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, at my G. Cole. If you're on YouTube, once you get off of here, go over and just put in Homegrown with G. Cole. Subscribe to the channel. You can see a whole bunch of other conversation there. And of course, if you're a podcast listener like me, it's available on iTunes, Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher, Google Play, wherever, iHeartRadio, radio.com, wherever. This conversation will be up in a couple of days on there too. So if you're a traveler like myself and you're on a plane and you want something to listen to, you'll be able to go back and listen to Jaime do his thing. Matter of fact, you want to get him another look thing before you go?
Yeah, why not?
I dig it.
Let's see, what else can I play? Man, I'm stumped. There's one song that, for all the old school Jamaican people listening, they always love me. Every time I do Jazz and Blues Festival, it doesn't matter how big I get or where I go, who I'm with, they bring me right back down to humble square one. And you know what they want to hear?
What's that?
A little bit of calypso.
Woo! Jamaican people love their calypso, you know.
Man, I could be anywhere playing something with a huge band and somebody will come up to me and say, yeah, but play Linstead Market for me. So this is for those people that listen because I know they're there.
Classics right there. That Slide Man goes to Linstead. Jano, bro. Appreciate that one right there. That took me back.
That is playing that with Miss Mac and everybody. Everywhere I went is like, yeah. You play that jazz thing, you play that reggae thing, but play me a Linston Market now.
Yeah.
Play me a brown skin girl. Play. Oh man.
Yeah. If you ain't dropping that, them good at vex.
What?
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jaime Hinckson. Jimmy, give thanks again, my brother.
Much respect. Thank you for having me, G. Cole.
Pleasure.
This was amazing. Nice little vibes. We can do it again anytime.
You said word, I'm here.
Yeah,
I'm here. I got to roll. Ladies and gentlemen, thank y'all again once more for vibing out with us. You don't know anything set up, but we got good energy. We stay till whenever. You know what I mean? But of course, I'm local. Jimmy got a little bit of drive, all right? So we got to go.
And there you have it. Thank you so much for tuning in. It has indeed been a pleasure. Remember, the podcast Homegrown G. Cole is available on iTunes, Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Radio.com, YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts. We're there. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Check out homegrownwithgcole.com to see all things homegrown. And remember, this interview is available on YouTube so you can watch live. Be safe, be kind, be good to each other. My name is G. Cole, and this is Homegrown.
Nakikinika sa música, Homegrown with G. Cole.
Estás escuchando Homegrown con G. Cole.
您现在正在收听的是 Homegrown with G. Cole.
You're listening to Homegrown with G. Cole.
Remember, all the music played here on the podcast Homegrown with G. Cole is available on iTunes, Spotify, and all your digital retailers. Please support the artist.